Okay. I want to ask this one. We continue. So let's go back to State House. Let's talk about a transition. Second term. Second term was huge. Second term, the second term of the president was just, the beginning of the second term was huge. Let me just say that. In terms of him and the DP separating, even from you were faced with such a huge choice. Stay or leave. A lot of the people who you came in with left. It's not for me to throw names. They made a decision and they have their reasons as to why they did it. Why did you stay?
Number one, God did not give me the unction to leave. I didn't get the unction to leave. And despite everything, God has just settled me in. Despite the need or the want to go to the next place, God has still told me, don't leave yet. So until I get that unction, I will still stay.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what it takes. I'm still gonna stay, simply because I don't have the release to go anywhere.
This is different than from when you did. You see, when you talked about moving from Youth for Raila to Jubilee, you didn't say God has told me. Only talker.
Yeah.
So this is it more maturity on your part?
And you're more sensitive to the calling of God.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Has the second term been more difficult? In that, one of the biggest changes that we saw happen was the president get off social media. That guy was the most digitally savvy social media president on the continent. I've studied his social media presence, just in terms of the speed of their posting, the quality of pictures, the understanding of digital. It was up there. It, like, globally you could compare it. You get. So can I ask, you don't have to answer if you don't feel the need to, but why did he get off social media?
Well, I think we'll take the what he told us.
Which was?
I think one of the biggest problems I see with social media is basically the bullying. That you, as an expert of digital, can actually be challenged by a guy seated under a tree who has done nothing with his life for the whole year, and who has no idea about digital. And it immediately waters down what you're trying to say. And until we have personal IDs online, people will use pseudonyms, people will use fake accounts, people will just run after other people who are doing what they can do best. I mean, I'm an expert in my field, and I tell you this is going to happen. How can a guy just come down there and write the opposite? And he doesn't care, you know? So
he's having a bad day, and he thinks that bad day needs to be released on you.
Yes, we need to deal with other people. Yeah. And somebody can write anything.
Okay.
You know? So
president is a human being.
Yes. Also personally, at some point I'm like, you know what? Then what's the use?
I was doing this to show you our work.
Yeah.
Okay.
And to communicate, to give you a platform where we can talk. And I can look and tell you.
So he was reading those tweets?
Yes.
Hey,
let me tell you something. I think Kenyans will miss Uhuru Kenyatta. And last time I said it, I received all this backlash and everything. I don't care, really. Because I have worked with him. I know. Trust me, I know. This is the closest we'll get to a human president. I mean, UK is the kind of guy who you can find walking in the streets of Nairobi. Like, in the most unlikely of spaces, how many times has he told us, well, leave that guy alone. Let that whoever wants to come. And you're like, we can't allow these guys. He says, no, just let them come. I've never sat in a meeting where he's planned to disenfranchise Kenyans. In fact, he demands for accountability. And that's why maybe some of us are not involved in any of these corrupt things. Because he gave instructions and said, guys, I don't want you to get involved in all these things. And even for some of us, we've tried to keep a very clean sheet, so we just don't bring his name into disrepute. Because I think he's busy focused on trying to build this whole Kenya. So now if after every 2 minutes he has a story about Ted, scandal, so he did this, he did that, he did the other, he'll be like, come on, Bana. And also maybe that's also a thing when you think about young people, that many young guys who get into power just forget and start behaving like the old guys.
Okay. How has this second term been for you? So minus the debt from a work perspective, in that space, are you still involved with empowering the media and entertainment industry?
Yeah, I actually think for me, in my heart, I have a very, very deep need to explain his legacy. I believe that the amount of stuff done has never been done before. Like, we have some benchmarks which the world shall use as a measure. For example, 100% intake, primary to secondary. That's a report studied by the UN to scale up to African countries, whereby you say, listen, primary and secondary are free, kila mtu aingie. So now nobody has a reason to say why I can't go to university, to secondary, because I don't have this. Universal health coverage with NHIF. Let me tell you, the things that are happening out here.
When you get sick is when you understand the power of NHIF.
And the time when you go to Hosi and you don't have cash, and they ask you, do you have an NHIF card? You say yes. And they give it to you and they treat you well. I'm on an NHIF, super cover. I've slept at the Aga Khan hospital and they paid for it. In fact, for me, I think it should be compulsory everybody to pay for NHIF. Like, you're not given a choice.
An option.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, before people can confuse me for a yes psycho fan, one of the things that I try not to do is the story has to be told from you. So I don't want to enter things of like, yes, there's this that has worked, but there's this that has not worked. Because sometimes we just need to hear about what has worked. Do you get what I mean? Like when you drive from one place to the other without entering a portal, when you remember you used to enter portals all the time, you're happy about what has worked. And I think as Kenyans, sometimes while there's a lot of pain, I won't even touch on to corruption and a lot of the things that Kenyans feel the pain about, I'm using this moment to celebrate the positives. Big Ted, in this space, as we come to a close, is that okay?
Yeah.
Ama there's still so much more. I know there's still so much more without a doubt, but I just love the way this conversation has flowed, and you're the one who sort of brought it into this place. Your last, okay, no, not your last. We're entering into an election year. You get where are you at? Where are you at this year, knowing that your job, your work, what you do may come to an end, or the system doesn't allow that to happen?
All right, so because governments don't work with seasons, government work with endless time, which means that there's continuity.
Even in State House?
Anywhere. You see, I'm a government employee. I'm employed by the Public Service Commission, which means I have a contract which runs after every 5 years. So I still have time to serve even the next president.
Okay.
What needs to happen is you need to give yourself to the country. For me, it's about the country, you know? I want to sit in a place and go like, by the way, you see the way you see that thing? I sat in the meeting which helped to make that. You see the way that happened?
Okay.
I sat in the meeting which helped make that, Right now, as I told you, I'm more interested in talking about the legacy of the president.
Because
I know that there are things that he has done, So for me, it doesn't end here. I continue serving the presidency.
So your contract doesn't end, your 5 years doesn't end.
And I serve the presidency, not the president.
Yeah. So your contract doesn't end this year.
No.
So despite who enters,
we'll still be there to serve.
Okay. I get it. What do you feel like I've left out in this conversation that you would like to talk about, or you'd like to highlight? Not this conversation just about the presidency, but about your life. First of all, there's so much you've done so much. I keep saying we can't compress 25 years into a 5-6 hour CTA. Even if I wanted to, it cannot be done. But I'd like to open up the floor to you. What conversations would you like to have?
Well, I think mine is the lessons of life that we come up with and we learn. Number one is that you're a conduit for God's blessings. You sometimes have to accept that God will use you as a signpost. You know the signpost which says town, never goes to Tao, just points. Many times we are just signposts, pointing people to God's grace. Many times God will give you gifts or He'll show you a place where somebody else can benefit. For example, everybody in this room has a need or a dream and a desire. And many times God will use you so that you can be a conduit for the next person. Sometimes you just have to accept and say, you know what, God, you want me to be a blessing to this person? Okay, I'll be a blessing to this person. And we might actually end up even solving all the issues that are there in the world if we accept to know that I can help him get to the next place, then he will help. So we can unlock. It's like the way a safe is, and you immediately you just hit the last button. Many things just unlock, and I think that's how life is. That's how life is. Number two, if you're in a group of 6 and you're suffering, and those are not your friends.
That's if you're in a group of 6 and you're suffering, those are not your friends.
I mean, how would 6 people or 5 people not be able to sort you out? You know, in the Bible, there's a story about a leper who was carried to a house where Jesus was.
By his 4 other pals.
And they decided, you know what? They would have said, you know what, guys, we have tried, Bana. This door is closed. Let's go home, Bana. You know me, I have to go. But I said, you know what? We'll tear the roof.
Kuna roof itoke.
So those 5 friends of yours should be able to tear the roof of wherever it is that you want to go.
And you the same for them. Let's also add that.
Number 3, your dream is not based on your budget. It's based on God's budget. You see, I always pray and tell God, I pray this in your name. And then I tell him that, God, remember that if it doesn't work, guys will say it's you who does not work, not me. Key things that I've learned that I carry with me as I go on. Everybody is bound to make mistakes. Everyone. Let me tell you, you'll fall once, twice. The Bible says a wise man
falls 7. Is it 7 times? Yeah, 7 times. Or 7 times 7, whatever. Something like that.
and stands up.
And stands up 7 times. So, wacha nisome hiyo Bible. Hiyo ndio verse iko hapa.
You know? And one, final one, it's in Numbers. Are you going to record them or you learn? And the final one is that Numbers says that God is not a man that he should lie. Neither is he a son of man that he should cheat. It says, haven't I said it and won't I do it? Haven't I promised and won't I give? The reason why God immediately says he's not a man is like detouring from the issue, because man has a problem with keeping his promises. So he tells you from day one, by the I'm not a man. Yeah, you've dealt with men, me, I'm not a man. I cannot lie. Let me tell you, if God has promised anything, it will come to pass. The Bible says that the man says, I've been young, but now I'm old.
I've never seen the righteous forsaken.
Neither since you beg for bread. Esther, remember one thing. We did not discover oil when we had chariots. Not that the oil was never in the soil. The oil has always been in the soil. But we only discovered oil when we decided we want to make cars to drive these chariots.
That is so.
Which simply means
tight.
that God has provided a solution for everything. It is there. Even before it happens, God has provided a solution.
Yo, that one. Ebu say it again. We did not discover oil while we had chariots. You had the horses, those hay. Those hay.
But the oil was still there, just boiling.
Yeah.
See, until now God was in a hurry at you. Oh, make. No. It was already there.
That is deep. As soon as we started building cars, oil came.
God has put gold in the sand. Now, we've never been able to finish the gold in the soil. Diamonds, everything. God has already prepared stuff for us. He's preparing us for that stuff. God will not give you a promise, a blessing that will mess you up. You can't. And me, I tell myself every day, the reasons jashika do ni God anajua niko na kiburi. Akinige do imeisha. So atanipiga kila siku tu pocket money 2K until the day I'm able to handle the blessing. Otherwise, it will end up being a curse. And the testimony will become that God blessed me and then I went and spoiled everything in this world.
I've seen that happen to a few guys.
By faith, the elders obtained a good report. Faith is the basis of everything. And at the end of faith is hope. That God is, like he's not a bad guy. He's not a bad guy. Like his thoughts for you are good. They're not bad. That the cattle on 1,000 hills are his. That whatever he's told you, he'll do. That he's able to do much, much more than you can think of or imagine. Faith. And only through faith can you be able to get this thing. Because remember that God's promises are conditional. And I finish with this. It says that they that wait upon the Lord, he shall renew their strength.
They shall.
So the promise is renewal of strength, but the conditional promise is only those that are waiting are the ones who are being renewed. Not everybody. Conditional. It says, they shall run and not grow weary. Yeah, but the problem there is, he is promising you that you'll run.
Hey bro, umesoma hii Bible
The
nice.
promise is that you will walk. Bro, tutapiga hustle. Unasikia? But anasema,
You won't grow weary.
ukirun, hauta faint. Ukiwalk, hauta faint. Promise ya God kwetu. So for me, I'm still learning daily, man. I'm learning how to love. I'm learning how to be a better man. I'm learning how to be a better guy with finances. I'm learning daily. And I try as I learn, even me, I teach other people. As I learn, I share. As I learn, I also grow. Just learning. I'm just a man. And I tell all guys this simply because grace is one beggar telling another beggar where he found bread. I found bread in God. So I'm just telling other beggars to come. See, now we shower. No, just come the way you are and eat.
Hey bro, I feel like this is, your story almost sounds like the prodigal son story in a way. But I want to touch on something that I didn't touch on.
All right.
My apologies for this. But I don't want us to end here. Health. You're not called, you are called Big Ted for a reason, bro.
Yeah.
When Peter Dera said, from these two,
Yeah.
when you Big Ted,
Yeah.
it caused his eyes. The eyes.
Yeah.
His eyes saw
Yeah.
the true size of you.
I was 168 kgs.